Hi, Charlie. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have you on the show and to have a chance to talk to you about Gods of Pangaea. How are you doing? And what are you feeling about this new album?
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for asking about it. Yeah, I mean, we've released three songs from it so far. The title track, and then we released Lost Continent. So those are the two longest songs
Yeah.
on the album, which was the label's choice. I left it up to them to choose. So, that's pretty cool. And then we just released Fault Lines, which is one of the shorter ones. And the feedback has been awesome. People are enjoying it. It's being received in the spirit it was meant. Is like a kind of it's kind of a little bit of a throwback to early '90s kind of style. Um, I don't know. This kind of music seemed a little bit more fun in those days, and that kind of fun thrash metal element to it,
Yeah.
with a bit of a kind of modern twist as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's good to see people are receiving it and having fun with it and enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty good album. I enjoyed it very much. And it's set to be released on the 14th of March. What can you reveal to your fans about this album?
What can I reveal? Well, it's a follow up to the first Tiktaalika, which I released under my name, so it was Charlie Griffiths Tiktaalika. This time I made it so Tiktaalika is like a band name, and then so it was kind of written um, with a sort of classic album kind of structure, if you know what I mean. So it was like I was taking, my favorite albums growing up, like things like Rust in Peace, Master of
Yeah.
Puppets, Ride the Lightning, Among the Living, State of Euphoria, Practice What You Preach. Um, so yeah, so like it seemed, it seems to me like those kind of albums were a little bit shorter, and there was a definite kind of structure to the album where it was you kind of could listen to it from start to finish as was more common in those days. This was kind of designed with that in mind, where it would start kind of with a punchy, thrashy, short song, like a 4 minute song. The opening track is called Tyrannicide, and it's like a kind of fast thrasher.
Yeah,
And
it's really
then
a banger, that one.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a good fun one, and lots of fast rhythm
Mhm.
picking. Um, and then it's like then you've got the title track, which is the longer, more kind of progressive structure where it's like almost in three parts. Where you've got almost like a kind of Rust in Peace
Mhm.
slash Master of Puppets kind of structure, where you've got these different movements to it. And then the third track is more of a sludgy, slower groove kind of thing. Drop D tuning. That's the only one. The rest of the album's in E standard, so it has that classic sound. And then track four, it's called Mesozoic Mantras, and that's more of a kind of starts off like a kind of ballad, and then it kind of gradually morphs into like a kind of I was thinking of like a Merciful Fate slash kind of
Yeah.
almost like and Ghost as well. I've
Mhm.
been into Ghost more recently, where it's got that more theatrical kind of style. And then the next up, there's a couple of like more traditional um, metal songs, like sort of. So it's Fault Lines, and then we've got Give Up the Ghost. So those are kind of shorter, in your face, straight ahead songs, and then it finishes with Lost Continent, which is the longer
Yeah.
one with Tommy Rogers from BT Bam. And then if you have the vinyl, that's it. That's the album. But the CD version and the streaming version has an additional bonus instrumental track, which I hope people listen to as well because
Yeah, I
it's
think they
pretty.
will. It's a pretty nice song as well. And as you, I agree with everything you just said. The first track more thrash oriented, like Megadeth and such. Then the second track, more like close to, or at least in the chorus, close to Avenged Sevenfold, for example. Then the third,
Yeah,
almost near death metal, even.
yeah,
What inspired you to make this such diverse compositions and fit them all together in an album?
yeah. Well, I definitely wanted it to be like if you listen to the album from start to finish, you would kind of know where you are.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not just like a bunch of songs and you kind of get lost with it. Like you find these days with albums that are really have a lot of songs on them. It's like they're all great songs, but you could kind of listen to them in any order.
Yeah.
You can put an album on and it's like, oh, where am I in the story of the album kind of thing. So
Mhm.
I definitely wanted it to have that feeling of like you could put on any song and you know where you are in the sequence kind of thing. So I thought it was important to have each song have its own character, but still, sonically they all kind of the same.
Belong in the album. You basically wanted to make an album that was more than just a collection of songs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That's how I still do it. That's
Yeah.
that's how I like to enjoy. When I get into a band, I tend to just kind of listen to an album on loop for like a month, and yeah, I don't like doing a song here, a song there.
Mhm.
I like to know kind of where they were and get into that kind of into their mindset.
Yeah, and if there's a song that you don't like as much in that album, over the time you start liking it
Yeah,
for many times as
exactly.
you listen to it. Yeah.
Because I'm kind of old school, right, like that. Whereas like
Yeah.
you had before, music was so easily available, you had to like buy a physical copy, and it was it's a lot of money. Like when you're a teenager or whatever, yeah, you don't have a job or anything. So yeah, you sort of have to buy it and just hope you like it, right? And then if
Mhm.
you don't like it, you have to be like, oh well, I don't want to waste the money, so I'm gonna keep listening anyway. And then yeah, you sort of learn to like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you also already mentioned that this album changes the name of your solo project from your name from Charlie Griffiths to Tiktaalika. What
Yeah.
motivated that change?
It was, well, a lot of it was just down to like, how I wanted to present
Mhm.
the album, like the artwork and everything.
Yeah.
I wanted it to seem like a kind of an old school record.
Mhm.
So I had my friend Dan Goldsworthy. He's an amazing artist. He does a lot of stuff for like metal bands. Like he does a lot of like like classic death metal style covers or thrash metal style covers. He's done a bunch of like Sepultura t-shirt designs lately,
Mhm.
which is amazing. And so I wanted it to have that kind of look of it being painted, kind of like this t-shirt I'm wearing, which is a
Yeah.
death leprosy, and like this. I love the artist that did these albums. His name's
Yeah,
Ed Rep.
it's a great album.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for agreeing with me. Yeah. um, so yeah, I wanted that kind of look, that Ed Repka-ish look, which Dan does amazingly. And he made he drew this logo of Tiktaalika,
Mhm.
which I just loved. And I thought, man, I can't now put my name above that, because it's just going to ruin how it looks. So it's kind of that, and yeah, I don't want it to be about me particularly. It was like
Yeah. Mhm.
I guess like the first album, it kind of made sense just to kind of so people would know what it was all about.
Mhm.
Um, and if I didn't do another one, that would be fine. But um, you know,
Yeah, but I'm glad you did. And now that you're talking about the artwork, I think one of the most stunning things about the artwork is that you look at it and you instantly recognize that this is going to be an old school thrash metal album. I looked at it and I was like, okay, this album is going to be good. I'm going to like this album.
Exactly.
That's one of the
Yeah.
most important things in the artwork, I think. What
Yeah.
instructions did you give to Dan for him to create this artwork?
Well, I mean, like the concept of the album is kind of, you know, it follows on from the first album where it's like I take a lot of inspiration from like paleontology and geology. Like it's all about um, prehistoric life, and you know the Tiktaalik, which gives the project its name. It was
Mhm.
like a fossil that was discovered, and so it kind of follows on from that. But I didn't want it. I don't want it to be like a kind of science lesson kind of thing. So it's just I like being having fun with like merging different schools of thought, almost kind of thing. So I kind of took the backdrop of the landmass of Pangaea and having that kind of visual that you have of that is like dinosaurs and palm trees and that kind of thing. And but I wanted to kind of blend it with this idea of um, like a sort of supernatural element to it, like we have today, like it's just
Yeah.
if, from whatever point of view you have about religion or whatever, uh, it's a supernatural force of some kind, whether you follow it or don't follow it or whatever. It's kind of interesting whichever way you look at it. But so I was kind of imagining like this ancient landmass, but there still being this supernatural kind of element existing. Why would it just start with humanity kind of thing?
Yeah.
You know, why kind of thing. Like, so that was kind of the thought, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And I thought it'd be fun to have that kind of, quite a literal visual representation of that, of like this preacher guy, but all the little kind of details of the church and like the Bible and his, instead of a crucifix, he's got a like a raptor's claw around his neck, and like the carvings in the church are like dinosaur skulls, and it was kind of it fits within that classic death metal kind of cliche kind of thing,
Yeah.
but it's done in a way that I haven't seen before anyway. Like it's not really the satanic
Mhm.
angle. It's kind of different prehistoric angle, which I don't know. I haven't seen it, but you might,
Yeah, it's like God before God.
exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how do we know? We don't.
Yeah, we weren't here, so.
Yeah.
And you are already talking about on this paleontology and geology themes that carries through the album. There's also a concept like connecting all the songs, right? Like a lyrical concept. You want to go through a little bit of that, the story?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's not really a story or anything like that. I mean, it's as far as like like the first track called Tyrannicide, which that signifies you know um, the killing of a tyrant, right? And it was obviously fitting because he got a tyrannosaur, and I was imagining that song from the point of view of um, this asteroid is on its way to smash into the planet and change history and wipe out these. You could almost think of these huge beasts as being gods in a way. Like if
Yeah.
if like primitive man saw one of those, they would probably think it was some kind of god, um, kind of thing. So I was thinking of it like that. So like this Tyrannicide is about that, and then the latter half of the album is about when like Lost Continent and Give Up the Ghost, and then the final track is Chicxulub. So that deals with like the impact of this
Mhm.
um, you know era changing. It's literally the end of the Mesozoic era, right? So it's like
Yeah.
Blue refers to the impact crater, which is in the north part of Yucatan Peninsula, the Gulf of Mexico. I think it's still called that, right? Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, yeah, depending on where you're from.
And so that's it's called Chicxulub, which is that impact crater kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's a story arc kind of there where it's like
Mhm.
track one sets up the coming of this asteroid, and then the end of the album finishes with its impact and the destruction that it's caused. But in between, it's kind of different points of view, if you like. I kind of think of Forbidden Zone as being like from the point of view of I kind of write that from a kind of cellular point of view, where it's like
Mhm.
like almost like the 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 action of like DNA replicating and replicating and trying to evolve and find different ways of existing in this environment kind of thing. But everything's a metaphor, which however you want to look at it.
Yeah, and
Um,
true poetry is for the listener.
yeah, exactly. And then Mesozoic mantras was more like this kind of um, sort of like that fantasy idea of like having this preacher
Mhm.
guy, and he's now that was like a kind of more of a kind of merciful fate-ish kind
Mhm.
of style of lyrics, where it was like I'm imagining this guy like doing these kind of religious rites and using like dinosaur skulls as some kind of source of dark energy of some kind. Right? So that's a kind of bit of a kind of
Yeah,
fiction.
it's science fiction for the future.
Yeah, that fault lines, which is like a kind of and like give up the ghost, which are more kind of what do you like existential kind of
Mhm.
lyrics. Talking. It could be about personal relationships or struggles you're going through, and you know having to keep striving for something, or do you give up on it, kind of thing. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's a bit of a
it's a
bit of a
roller
complex
coaster. It has a
story.
bit of everything. The songs connect, but there's not a concept.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and once again, you invited some guests to help make your vision of the album come true. Would you like to introduce them? And why did you chose to invite them?
Yeah. So in the band side of things, I play all the guitars and write everything. I write all the music and all the lyrics, and I demo all the songs. So I have like rough drum programming, and I kind of sing everything loosely. Well,
Mhm.
actually, not that loosely. It's just sung not very well, but every syllable and note is kind of pretty locked in.
Mhm.
And then yeah, then I send it to the different people to do it properly, right? So the first step was getting the drums recorded. So I invited my friend Darby Todd back. He plays on the first album as well,
Yeah.
and he's people will probably know him from in this kind of genre. He plays with Devin Townsend
Mhm.
on the last few years, and yeah, he's an incredible
Yeah.
creative drummer. He's like very spontaneous
Mhm.
in
He
the in
really
our
is, and he showed that again in this album.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like even though like, I would send him the demo,
Mhm.
but yeah, he's he's free to play how he naturally plays, kind of thing. So he doesn't stick to every everything I programmed, he'll just kind of improvise it almost and play it spontaneously. And yeah, so usually it's like he'll just do, I'll send him a song and then he'll do it that day. Take him a few hours to record it, and then he'll send the tracks back to me the next day, kind of thing. So it's very quick.
Yeah.
And then so once all the drums were done, and then it was like I had Connor from Haken play bass on this one, and he brought a real kind of um, musical depth to it, because like he's got an amazing ear, and he knows his harmony and his jazz and all that stuff. So so he sort of brought a different dimension to it, rather than just always following the guitar riffs. He knew when to kind of improvise around it and like play a different note, like play a harmony against the guitar, when necessary, and then when to kind of be with the guitar in unison, kind of thing. So that's amazing having him
Yeah.
bring that to it, and then so that's pretty much it for the band, and then we have like four main singers. Firstly, Daniel de Jong. He sings for Textures, and he's got an amazing range. He can sing this like amazingly kind of soulfully in with like a clean voice, and also can add the grit when needed, and he can also like really do the fry screaming, like the brutal kind of vocals. So he can do it all. So he's on three tracks. And who else do we have? We have Vladimir Lalish. He's a friend of mine. He was on the first album. But both those guys were on the first album
Yeah.
too. And he's more kind of he's like a kind of heavy metal Freddie Mercury almost kind of thing. Where he's just got this kind of more theatrical voice, an incredibly like unique voice as well. It's like very powerful. He's got amazing range. He can belt the high notes, which I love. I love singers that can do that.
Yeah.
And then also we got Rhodey Walker. You could put in the same category. He's from Canadian band called Protest the Hero, and he's got he can do all the vocal gymnastics as well. He can like sing low, middle, high range, all with that incredible passion in his voice. And um, yeah, with Protest the Hero, like their music is like pretty crazy,
Yeah.
and his voice kind of like knits it all together and makes sense of it in a way. But so it was on this track you'll sort of hear him on Fault Lines. It's more of a straight ahead track. It's nothing like Protest the Hero. It's more like a kind I think of it more like a sort of Anthrax / Annihilator
Yeah. Yeah. It's closer to that. Yes.
track. And so it's more of him singing like to a kind of straight riffs, which is cool to hear. And then we have Tommy Rogers from Between the Buried and Me on the final track, and so he brings that kind of death metal growling,
Like only
and
he can.
but like only he can. He's got death metal singing can be quite varied, right? It's not just one sound. You can
Yeah, and you know him well for touring with them in
yeah.
Haken like last tour, I think last year, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he sang on the first album too. And
Mhm.
that's what he can do. He can bring that unique death metal style of his, but he's also got a very cool melodic um, kind of style. Is very unique as well, which he just makes things sound cool. Like
Yeah.
you just know it's going to sound. He's going to make it sound cool. So it's yeah. With all of them, they kind of take my demo to several levels beyond
Yeah.
what I expected. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, they're all very talented musicians, and none of them had actually the chance to participate in the composition process, right? That was all you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give someone work to do, right? I want it to be very easy for them, like
Yeah.
and just yeah, if it takes an afternoon or an evening to do it, that's all I want to ask of someone, kind of thing. So I meticulously get all the lyrics to work rhythmically and melodically, and I feel like I've written the song in that way. It's like
Yeah.
it's written by me. It's not written in partnership with someone, kind of thing. But but they're free to throw their voice to a note that sounds better for them, if they want to. I don't lock them into anything. I'm always telling them, feel free to change the notes if you think it sounds better for you, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the way it should be done. I mean, it gives the artists some freedom as well for them to help build everything.
exactly.
Um,
I mean, I kind of give everyone freedom to have
mhm,
fun with the same, like with Dan doing the art, Darby playing the drums, kind of, all the singers. It's just like
mhm.
main thing is like you're having fun doing it. It doesn't feel like you're doing a job for someone. Just like
Yeah, that's the
play
most important part.
play with it, and then you know it's only music, so it should be fun. And it's like
Yeah.
it's not every day you get to make an album, so
Mhm.
you should have fun doing it. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Now, moving on, despite this album not being very inside out sounding, like
yeah.
inside out's more focused on prog rock or prog metal, this album is a little bit off. It still is released by the German label. Why did you think this was the right choice for the album?
Well, I mean, I didn't really think about that in a way. I mean, I guess it was like, they release like Dream Theater stuff and
Hmm.
Devin Townsend stuff. Like the latest Dream Theater it's like a metal album, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Very heavy, and like the Devin stuff is got some kind of screaming vocals and it's
Hmm.
heavy down tuned guitars. So from that point of view, I kind of felt like it would fit, kind of thing. Yeah, and I don't know, I like working with them, like the people. That's the main thing, like they're kind of friends as well as like business partners or whatever, kind of thing. Um, so yeah, I hoped they would. I mean, that was the funny thing. I finished writing and demoing the album before I even told them I was doing it. I kind of kept it secret. I didn't tell anyone.
Hmm.
I just thought, that partly because of like it's less pressure as like that. You can just kind of
Yeah.
do it in your own way at your own steam, and you're not feeling any expectation, kind of thing. So I just kind of did it. I just wrote it for me first, and then I was until I was happy with it, and then I let them know. Oh, by the way, I've got an album. So let me know if you want to put it out.
Yeah, and I'm glad they did because the world deserves to listen to this album. And
Yeah,
is there any plans to play these songs live or any tour planned? Is this just a studio project?
I want to do it. I mean, there's nothing planned yet.
Mhm.
Um, I've got, yeah. I mean, I would like to do it, especially like these songs more so than the first album. I think these are much more sort of. I can kind of visualize these songs being played
Yeah.
live. They're more kind of. I can like think. I could. These would work in a kind of sort of metal club or venue, or a metal style thing. Opening for a band or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great. I mean, I saw you live last year, I think, with Haken in Porto. I mean, it was a great show as well, and it would be great to have you here in under your
Oh,
the name of Tiktaalika as well.
yeah, man. I mean, that I remember that was a great day. We had, like
Yeah, it was.
walk, walking around like the harbor there and everything was
Mhm.
a beautiful place, amazing.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, for sure, I want to do it, but I haven't set it in motion yet. Like,
yeah.
really reached out to anyone to make it
Mhm.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah, and
I
you know,
can.
as everything with guests and everything, it might be a little bit hard for it to come to life.
Yeah, I would definitely like do it in a. I wouldn't be able to recreate
Hmm.
what you hear on the album exactly. It would be like I would do it more of a stripped down. I think the way I'm thinking of it would be like a four piece guitar, bass, drums, vocals, like a kind of Pantera or Van Halen kind of style, you know. Like, and then I'll just pick a singer that would
Hmm.
just do their version of the songs, kind of thing.
Yeah, and you know, I'm sure that if this goes forward, it will be a great life experience as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
fun for me to do for sure. Yeah,
yeah, and I mean for the people watching it as well.
yeah, yeah,
And you know, now that I mentioned the Aiken, you have a live album coming out soon.
yeah.
What are you planning for that? And you know, and beyond that, what are the plans for Aiken for the next days?
Yeah, so this is our second live album that we've done,
Hmm.
and it's comes with a there's a Blu-ray
Hmm.
set of like the whole London show. So we played at a venue called the Forum in North London, um, which is like that's one of those venues that's been there a long time and
Hmm.
lots of like classic gigs and big bands that like Dream Theater played there, Pantera played there back in the day. I went to those shows and so it was like a thrill to get to play at a venue like that. And so yeah, we filmed our entire 3 hour show of like the whole of Fauna played start to finish, and then a couple of one or two songs off of it every album as well, including like two epics. We got the Crystallized on there and Visions on there as well. So it's like a lot of music, and yeah, so it sounds amazing. Like the mix Jens Bogren did sounds like tight and powerful, and yeah, the edit looks great as well. So yeah, we'll be like releasing a few. I think we've already released one, Beneath the White Rainbow. Or is that right? Yeah. In between all that, we've been working on new music as well for the next Haken album as well. So, but it's still there's nothing to say about it yet. There's no
Yeah,
kind of
yeah. And well, Charlie, I think that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Would you like to send any message to your Portuguese fans?
yeah, man. Save some port for me. Um, love that stuff. Yeah, hopefully we can come and play in Portugal again on our next tour. Um, yeah, we have great shows there, and yeah, until then, stay well and keep rocking. Yeah.